Hello everyone, and welcome to the lecture on for loops in Python. We use for loops to iterate over items or elements in a given sequence, like lists, strings, dictionaries, or tuples. Let's see how we can use for loops in lists for iterating items in lists. Let's say we have a list of numbers. Let's say list containing numbers. Let's say 2, 4, 6, 8, and 20. So to iterate over each of the numbers in our list, we can use a for loop. We can say for. So the statement for a for loop is like this: for, let's say, x in our case. So this could be a sequence. Let's call it sequence. So for x in sequence, print, let's say, x. So this is the general format for a for loop. It can be for x, or let's call this element. For element in sequence, print element. So in our case, in this case, element will be each of these elements, each individual element. So this is one element, another element, and so on. In sequence, in this case, will be our list. So this is a sequence. It could be string, dictionaries, or lists. And then colon, new line, indent, print element. So which is the same element as this. One thing important in using for loops is that whatever element we pass here and whatever element we print have to match. Okay, but it doesn't matter what you put here. I could have said, instead of element, I could have said for item in my sequence, print item. So either way, it's fine. Now let's use this for loop to iterate and print out all these numbers in the list number. So we can say for, let's say, numbers in the list number. So that's my list, colon, new line, indent, print numbers. So in this case, I used numbers to represent each element in my list. So now when we run this, each of the numbers will be printed out: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Instead of numbers, we can use some other thing. We can say, let's say, we could have said element in list number, print element. That also works. And if we run this, we get the same result. And instead of element, we can use anything: number, num, for num in our list, print number. Basically, it means the same thing. So for each of the items or elements in your list, which is defined here, print each of the elements. That's what it means. Or usually you'll see the letters I. Mostly people use I or X or a single letter. I can say for I in my list, print I. You get the same result. Okay, so that's the idea of for loops. Let's see another example. Let's create a list using the range function. So we can use the range is a built-in function that we can use to create a list. So we can say range, let's say 0 to 22. That will give us a list of numbers from 0 all the way to 21. So that's the range function. And we can pass the entire range function with a for loop. We can simply say for, let's say, numbers in range 0 to, let's say, 7. For numbers in range 0 to 7, we can say print numbers. In this case, we have to cast this range as a list. Okay, so this will convert our range into a list. Now if we run this, we get 0 through 6. Great. For numbers in, so we are converting this range function and then casting it as a list, print numbers. Then all the numbers from 0 through 6 will be printed out. Another way we could have done this is by saving our range function in some variable. Let's say number list is equal to range 0 to 22. Run that, and then if we call our number list object, we get a list of numbers from 0 to 21, and then we can pass this. We can use for, let's say, x in number list, print x. We could do that, and numbers from 0 through 21 will be printed out. But this is using for loops directly by creating a list using the range function.